So they start sending just from their one domain that they have all these cold outreach emails, which is a big mistake, of course, because a best practice for outbound outreach to leads with email would be to have a completely different setup with more domains, more mailboxes, and a completely different infrastructure.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Evolving Your Workplace. I'm Carol Schultz. Today's episode, we are going to hear from an expert on cold emailing. We'll get into the mistakes, myths, and best practices for those of you leading smaller companies who want to succeed using these techniques. For anyone currently using cold emails for outreach, or for those interested in that, this one is for you. So today I'm joined by expert Jovan Oh, shit. I need the correct pronunciation of your last name. I'm going to have to start this over. Is it Shojalevsky?
Jovan
Levsky?
Shoilevsky.
Shoiletsky? Shoilevsky. All right. Let me
That's
try
good.
that again. And we'll start this over. That's one thing I forgot to. Shoilevsky. Yeah? Okay, got it. All right, let me start over. Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Evolving Your Workplace. I'm Carol Schultz. In today's episode, we're going to hear from an expert on cold emailing. We'll get into the mistakes, myths, best practices for those of you out there who are leading smaller companies and who want to succeed using these techniques. For anyone currently using cold email for outreach, or for those interested in that, this one's for you. I'm joined by expert Jovan Shoilevsky, leader at Grow Surely, and cold email expert with such notable clients as Discord and L'Oreal Paris. Jovan, thanks so much for joining me today to discuss this topic. It's a super important topic, and I'm sure many people are interested in learning about this. But first, can you tell me a little bit about your background leading up to where you are now?
Yes, thank you for the introduction. So the way it started for me was when I was pursuing college, I dropped out after 1 year to sign up for a digital marketing course in a digital marketing academy, and a small part there was email marketing, which eventually stuck with me the most, and I landed an internship that was connected with email marketing. Then I had a few different roles and different jobs regarding email marketing. All of them consisted of some of them consisted of inbound email marketing, some outbound email marketing, and eventually the one that stuck with me the most was more focused on the back end side of the whole process of email marketing, and slowly started moving more towards the email deliverability space, which I've been doing for a couple of years now, and that's where most of my specialization is.
What was it about this field of email marketing that interested you so much?
The things that stuck with me the most was how diverse of a channel it is. The experiences I got sending B2B and B2C emails made me realize how powerful it can be for any business. The results I would see for all types of clients eventually made me super curious every day. The thing I like most for me is how a quick-paced environment it is. So methods like that we use every day, best practices, could be irrelevant in just a few months. So there's always this thing that keeps you on the edge to always stay up to date with trends and test out new stuff and try them yourself.
Got it. So what would you say are the common mistakes that you see companies making regarding cold emailing?
Well, cold emailing now it is becoming more and more beginner friendly, but there's a lot of stuff to it that's way more different than any other marketing channels. So, for example, the way you approach inbound and outbound email marketing is completely different, and the way you approach B2B or B2C is completely different. Of course, some of the stuff there are some similarities, but there's a lot of different things to it that a lot of people starting out can make as mistakes.
You're talking about mistakes, but I'm not really hearing what those mistakes are. Think of a company that's come to you that, for your help, that maybe they've been doing it on their own or they've been using another company. What were some of the mistakes or what was any mistake that was made for them, which was
So
giving them no results?
yeah. So one mistake that is very common with especially the bigger companies, for example, a lot of companies have a newsletter
Mhm.
or just people that have opted in to receive their emails.
Right.
And to those emails, they send updates about their products, platforms, services, whatever.
Mhm.
So when people sign up, these are inbound leads.
Mhm.
And usually the way you message them is if you're using something like HubSpot, like the most common used is like a big CRM that they send their emails to their
Right.
recipients.
Right.
And this way they contact all their subscribers
Mhm.
from one domain or one email address.
Right.
And the thing is, when this recipient list gets too big, it can cause like some harm to the domain reputation
Right.
due to the bulk that's being sent out.
Mhm.
And if the companies that do this, especially the bigger ones, they want to start doing cold outreach, with which they don't have much experience with,
Mhm.
they usually start doing the same thing for cold outreach. So they start sending just from their one domain that they have all these cold outreach emails,
Mhm.
which is a big mistake, of course, because a best practice for outbound outreach to leads with email would be to have a completely different setup with more domains, more
Right.
mailboxes, and a completely different infrastructure that will sort of have a more manageable process for whole health of the domain and
Right.
mailboxes that you're
Yeah.
sending from.
And I'm going to circle back to that here in just a few minutes. But what would you say? You had mentioned, outreach from companies that are doing B2B is different than B2C. What are some of those distinctions from companies selling B2B versus B2C?
Some of the differences are, for example, someone that's doing B2C would be contacting a lot of emails that are not professional emails. So
Right.
they would be ending at like at gmail.com, Outlook,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But the B2B would be mostly contacting businesses.
Hmm.
So these would
Hmm.
be professional email addresses, mailboxes that have been bought uh, for the specific domain the company is using. So deliverability can be very different between the two. So there are cases where you land in the inbox on free email mailboxes, but you don't land in inbox on the professional ones.
Right.
So you have to monitor everything specifically for that situation. And
Hmm.
when it comes to writing the messages
Right.
and the whole copy for your outreach, the message has to be more carefully written, I would say, because if you're writing to professional emails, you tend to need to have to be more careful on words that are promotional or salesy,
Hmm.
because it can be much easier to get a spam report or
Hmm.
an unsubscribe or any kind of negative engagement
Yeah.
due to the higher formalities
Hmm.
of the contacts you're
Hmm.
reaching out to.
Isn't cold email reach out really nothing any different than the old days of direct mail, where people would send mail into your mailbox and be glad if 1 or 2% of a response? Isn't that really what this is? Is you're just anybody who's doing this is spamming out so many that you're hoping for 1 to 2% response?
That used to work maybe a few years ago,
Okay.
but now, like, with all the emails people kept receiving throughout the years and all
Mm-hmm.
the technology that's popping out with
Yeah.
artificial intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
people are more familiar with what they're
Mm-hmm.
receiving.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's very hard to just put one message in, put your contact list, and just blast it to
Right.
thousands of people. It's not only harder because people are much more smarter now and will know if it's an AI generated
Yeah, no,
message,
I can certainly
or
tell.
or if you blasted it to a lot of people as well. The spam filters of Google and Outlook are much tougher. So they also have had a lot of updates throughout the years, and they are making things more and more strict, and you have to adjust everything
Mm-hmm.
according to the updates that they
Yeah.
make.
What are some cold email myths, right, regarding, this field? Like people think it's one thing, but it's really something else.
Most people think that one of the most common one is that most people think it's spam,
Mm-hmm.
that basically it's something illegal that most cold emails are doing, are reaching out
Interesting.
to thousands of people and
Mm-hmm.
hoping to get some kind of results. But that the reason people think that is that because there's throughout the years there was a lot of spamming and like uh, like virus links, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
and people remember all that stuff. But it's certainly not, because there's a lot of businesses doing this, and a lot of agencies doing this for
Mm-hmm.
businesses, and all of them adapt to everything that's and
Do you find that there are certain types of businesses that cold emailing is most effective for than others?
mm,
And when I say types of businesses, I mean, B2C, B2B, product versus services, those types of things.
in terms of business type, like your business can be anything, and I think it can work for any business. You just have to have the right strategy for your business, regardless if it's B2B or B2C.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason people feel like it doesn't work for them is because mostly they either don't have anything set up properly to do the outreach, or their business is not really ready in a way for cold emailing. So what I mean by
Mm,
that is some businesses that would work with other channels better, it's often not best to start with cold emailing. So
mm-hmm.
if your business is something that works well with other marketing channels, first you have to grow it to a certain point and then start trying out cold emails. But if it's something that this channel would work for and makes more sense,
Yeah,
you can start from the get-go.
right. So I wanted to circle back to what you were talking about earlier. And with my own personal experiences of using cold email companies on and off over the years, and even the most recent person I hired, who was outstanding, I might, and worked very closely with me. I think he worked for me for about 9 months, and I told him I wouldn't work with him without a guarantee of my money back, which he had a refund after 9 months, because as good as he was and as good as the emails were, we still couldn't get a single appointment. So my opinion is I'll never do it again, because at least for my business, it doesn't work. Right. And I think, I get more and more, I mean, every single day, through LinkedIn primarily, but, most of these land in my spam, the ones that come in through email, pitching me on, oh, we have great lead generation services for, XYZ types of companies like yours, which just sort of seems to be the most common thing people say. On the rare occasion that I would even reach out, respond to people like that, because maybe I have an extra 5 minutes in my day. My response is, what do you mean companies like yours? And you never hear back from them, really,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I'm calling them to the carpet on their bullshit, frankly. And it's just such a turn off to me anymore. So, this is why I wanted to have somebody like you on to really talk about these types of problems with all these companies. Like, how does somebody find somebody who really knows what they're doing, and how do you really know it's going to work? I mean,
Yeah,
I'll never
exactly.
spend another penny on cold, never.
Mm-hmm.
And when people reach out to me, I'll say, sure, I'll be happy to have a conversation with you as long as you're willing to work on contingency.
Mm-hmm.
And the response is, well, no, we've got, 200 clients, over 200 clients that love what we do. Yeah, I don't care about that. You could be
Hmm.
bullshitting me all the way to the bank, right?
Yeah, that's the point we
Yeah.
talked about earlier.
Yes.
The reason that one of the biggest reasons it doesn't work is that there's a ton of people that are sending emails to the
Yeah.
wrong people,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of tools that have popped up in recent years that allow
Yeah.
you to nail down the targeting as good as possible to make sure
Mm-hmm.
you're reaching out to people that specifically need what you're offering,
Mm-hmm.
but not everyone is not doing that, of course, and it's why we have this opinion a lot. And I know you said you won't spend another penny on cold emails,
Mm-hmm.
but that's how I was contacted by you, and that's how I
Well,
accepted to come on this call.
I understand that, but it was a personalized cold email to you from my chief of staff, right?
Yeah.
So I look at that a little bit differently. She targets maybe 3 to 5 people that she finds and reaches out to those people individually, one at a time. She doesn't
Yeah.
send one email to 5 people, right? She sends an email to each of those 5 people.
Hmm.
And mass email, you can't do it that way.
Hmm.
Right. So I mean, I do believe that there's some that works. And the difference is, I would, challenge you on is the difference with that is that we were inviting you to be on my show. So it's a benefit to you. You're thinking, oh God, I'd love to. That'd be great to get that kind of exposure
Hmm.
for this podcast, right? As opposed to us reaching out to you about something that we're trying to sell you. So I see that as a very big difference.
Yes, but if you look at that way, for example, if you could write uh, 3 to 5 personal emails manually,
Yep.
you can also, if you get more advanced and research more stuff,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of ways you can uh, add that same type of relevancy and personalization.
Right.
So if you just look at what you did there
Mm-hmm.
and find tools that can scale it,
Mm-hmm.
it can feel personal the same
Mm-hmm.
way as it was written
Yeah.
and relevant at the same time.
Interesting.
And to touch
Mm-hmm.
on the point from earlier, and if you research the people well enough that actually want what you're offering or see value in
Right.
what they can get, you can scale it and have the same feeling.
So, Javon, how do you determine who wants what someone is selling and at any time? Like, how do you know that they're seeking my services, for example? Because that's a really great point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. So there's a lot of ways. So this is the most important part of cold emails because
Okay.
finding exactly the people that need what you're about to tell them is the thing that makes cold emails feel warmer. And basically, for example, the let's put it this way. So if you have a big list of people to contact that have opted in their email for you, they made an action that made you know they want to keep receiving your emails.
Yeah.
So that's a bit to achieve something relevant to that with cold emails, you have to find some familiarity based on your offer.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're selling uh, like marketing services. There's a lot of tools you can use today. Like, for example, you can find a recent blog post, a social media post, and you can
From the
find,
person you're sending an email to.
yeah, you
Got
can
it. Yeah.
find
Okay. Yep. The prospect.
your relevant target audience
Right.
and make a list of relevant things they would discuss, like
Mm-hmm.
solutions they would need, pain points
Mm-hmm.
they would have,
Mm-hmm.
and you can find relevant sources online from your list, and you can source you can build your list from finding these threads where they communicated about relevant things, problems they might have, solutions they might be looking for. And that way you can mention something relevant to them and be more familiar with where they are
Mm-hmm.
exactly and what they need.
That's really interesting. The final thing I want to talk about is the subject line in an email. So I frequently, like, there's a couple of things, right? So when I get an email, sometimes they'll put, RE in the subject line, pretending to be a reply, and that's a good strategy. And I'm like, I want to hear your opinion on that. The other thing is, and I get a lot of that, quick question. I generally just delete those immediately. Really?
Yes.
Quick question. So I don't even have to look at the email to know they're going to try to pitch me probably lead gen services.
Yes.
So let's hear your opinion, your expert opinion on that.
So the quick question thing,
Yeah. Ugh.
I think it was mentioned by someone on a course or something like that, and everyone kind of started
Yeah.
using it.
Yeah.
And I remember it really worked a while ago, but now, like exactly as you explained, it just doesn't, because you know what to expect before you open the email with it. And
Yeah.
uh, especially for cold emails, like a big mistake with the subject line, with the RE thing you mentioned, that's just the biggest red flag, because it like lies to you before you open the email.
Yeah. Right.
And I think if anyone opens an email and the text that you see in the email is not relevant in any way to the subject line, it just makes you click away immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So cold emails, it's usually recommended to keep it really simple. So
Mm-hmm.
2 to 5 words maximum, I would say. This is because uh, not just so you need to keep it 2 to 5 words maximum, and make sure you're not using any promotional words like
2 to 5 words in the subject. Yeah. Right.
yeah, and
And no
make
promotional.
you
Exactly. Right.
yeah, and you have to make it sort of mention to what you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
talk about, so that you really get what you click for in a way. And the ways that senders enhance this today is by using custom variables like the recipient's company name, their first name, stuff like that,
You're saying to use the first name or to not use the first name? I'm sorry.
to use it.
Right. So, okay. I just went, while I was listening to you, I went into my junk mail, of which at the moment there are 400 emails. I have to delete them. I delete them like, once every 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something. And I'm just going to read you two. So here's the first one. Carol, this is the subject line. Carol, with no punctuation after that and a capital C. Can we have a Zoom meeting with you on tomorrow with a capital T? No
Does
wonder
the
it landed
subject
in
line?
my junk mail. Hi, Carol. My name is Anna, and I'm the manager customer success, which should not be capitalized. I mean, it's coming from somebody that doesn't know how to write, where English is not their first language, right? It would be great to connect over a quick 10-minute Zoom call anytime this week to explore a potential AI and custom software solutions for vertical elevation, yada, yada, yada. And I'm thinking, first of all, how would you, this is a big one right now, is the AI thing, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, that landed in my junk. And that was from last week. And then here's another one I'm gonna read to you, which I thought was pretty interesting. Hang on one sec. Where was that? Oh, here it is. So the first one came in on February 13th, landed in my junk. And then there was another one that apparently came in this morning. The first one said, subject line is meetings with female executives. Okay. Carol, still selling executive leadership coaching contracts? We helped another consulting team book over 40 calls with female executives last quarter, and they closed in on 4. I'm reaching out to see if Vertical Elevation is looking to add more volume to its pipeline. Mind if I send you info about our lead gen program? So that landed in, and then they just popped it back now. And then it said RE meetings with female executives. And I'm just like, everybody, I mean, it's the same message everyone sends when they're trying to sell you stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, who's hiring these people?
Mm-hmm.
Or who's running these companies that doesn't know what they're doing, right? So my final question to you is this. How do you find, what is somebody who's looking to do lead gen? What do you need to look for? What do you need to ask to find out who that top 2% is that you want to spend your money on?
So you mean like,
So if I were looking for somebody and I get all this spam all the time, and I decide I want to have a conversation with you about maybe doing business with you, what kind of questions should I be asking you to know that you actually know what the hell you're doing? People want to know, how do I find out? How do I distinguish between somebody who knows what they're doing and somebody who doesn't know what they're doing?
Mhm. So first, if someone wants to offer you lead gen services, you want to make sure it's an email from your inbox, because
You mean
if
that lands in my inbox, not in my junk mail?
yeah.
Yeah, right, of
So
course. And they all land in my junk mail, by the way. Yeah.
mhm. So
Yeah, very good.
that's a good start.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Then usually, like, the email should be easy to read for you. Like, it should be short, like many that you read, but it should be really relevant to something that you might potentially wanna explore.
Right, which you've talked about, determining how do you determine who are the people that actually want these services, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And if you do decide to do the call and have a brief about the service they want to provide you, you really need to go first from your perspective. You really need to go in the beginning, like, with the mindset to be ready to have to give the agency that's offering you lead gen services
Yeah.
2 to 3 months to start seeing results.
Okay.
Because I'm not saying in the beginning no one gets results, but to set up everything to start and to actually start getting results, 2 to 3 months is enough. If you're
Okay.
pushing after that, like your
Something's
case that you
wrong.
mentioned, 9 months,
Yeah.
it's usually not ideal.
Yeah. Got it.
In terms of the questions to ask, if you're getting way too many guarantees and super long presentations that are just trying to sell you in a way, that's usually a no-go personally for me, because I think the call that you get on should be just a normal conversation to see where both
Exactly.
participants are standing, and to see if you can build a mutual benefit about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
uh, that
Yeah. And I think that's really good advice. Anything, Javon, that I didn't ask you, we didn't talk about, that you want to say before we sign off?
yeah, for you, I think you should give another agency a chance to send cold emails for you.
We'll see about that anyway. Javon Shrelevsky, thanks so much for being with me. This was actually a really interesting conversation, and I hope very valuable to my audience of founders, budding founders, small business owners, etc.
Thank you for having me, Carol.